Hello and welcome to Still Behind the Bench. My name is Adam, and on this channel I'll attempt to describe the science behind distilling spirits in a more technical way. Hopefully it'll whet your appetite to learn more and teach you enough so that you're more self-sufficient. So for this video I'm going to be talking about 551 cleaning solution and whether or not we need to add hydrogen peroxide in the first place. So let's get started. Okay, so this video is essentially just going to be a practical experiment because I don't know what the answer is. I've been racking my brain over whether or not hydrogen peroxide is needed in the first place. It's a strong oxidizer, so I don't see how it's going to be helping because it might be wanting to induce oxidation, which is what we're trying to get rid of. So yeah, I have my two bowls here. Each of them have 500 milliliters of water and 1 ounce of citric acid in them. That's 28 grams. And then in this one, I've also added the 50 milliliters of hydrogen peroxide. I have two little pieces here, about a meter long of copper mesh that I rolled up and then I oxidized. I did that by soaking them in citric acid until they were just bare copper, and then I soaked them in a mix of water, table salt, which is sodium chloride, and sodium hydroxide, and then I left them in this plastic bowl covered for about 5 days, and this is the result. There was a bit of blue on them, just a little bit, and you might be able to see it. Not very well, but yeah, when I rinsed them off, a lot of that blue went with it. So I'm going to drop these in, start the timer, and then we'll see where that goes. But first I'm going to readjust the camera so it zooms in a little bit more. All right, so here we are. Citric acid over here on the left, 551 over here on the right. I got my two pieces of copper mesh ready to go. I'll drop them in, I'll start the timer, and then I will probably put in some royalty-free music or something as I speed up the video because it might take a while. So here we go. Both are in, completely covered, and the timer is started. All right, you can already see bubbles and what looks like smoke coming off of them. It's probably just the acid eating away at something, but yeah, it might not actually take all that long. And I'll just let it go until one of them looks like it's more bare copper than anything else. All right. Okay, so it's kind of hard to tell, but they both look pretty good, pretty equal in total, I mean. So I'm going to poke them a bit with a glass stir rod, see if we can just sort of turn this one around. So what do I see? This one's looking more dark brown than black, and this one's looking more like it has more black on it. So I'm going to let it go for another, well, however long it takes, I guess. And then, but what I have to do, well, my camera can only record for about 29 minutes per clip, and then I have to stop recording and start it up again. So I'm going to do that right now, And yeah, it should only take us like a split second. And we're back. Okay, so yeah, I guess I'll just let this keep going and we'll see how long it takes. Okay, so I am back, and the citric acid, in my opinion, is doing a lot better. Check both sides. The underside is still a little dark. Still quite a bit of black on this one. The 551. I'll let it keep going, but at this point I think the citric acid on its own is going to win. There's also a lot more bubbles forming in here, and I imagine that is because of the hydrogen peroxide reacting with little bits of what are probably copper oxides floating around in the liquid. Or maybe these copper oxides are floating around. The citric acid removes the oxide, and then the hydrogen peroxide reacts with it. So let's check this again. Still some black areas. And it's still not shiny, but it's getting real close. Real close. So some of the parts are very close to being really shiny, especially on this side. You know, as you turn it, you see it gets black, darker and darker. So I think this definitively says you do not need to have hydrogen peroxide in there in order for this mix to work. I mean, the non-hydrogen peroxide seems to do well enough on its own. Maybe save a little bit of money making it, especially if you're making large batches of it. Yeah, so yeah, I'm going to call it. You don't need hydrogen peroxide for it to do its work. Alright, so that's it for this video. Please click like and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. I'd also like to thank my my Patreon supporters, and have a great week.